And on that, welcome back to another episode of Shut Up and Enjoy. We're back, I don't know for how long, at least 10 minutes when we record this. This week we are going to be reviewing Captain America Brave New World, the latest installation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
It has been a pretty up and down movie from when they first announced it of, do we want this? Is it exciting? With Harrison Ford coming in and all that stuff. And, Sam Wilson taking up the mantle since Falcon and the Winter Soldier and people's responses to that. It's been interesting. But first off, initial thoughts. What do you think?
I liked it. There it is.
Yep.
On the podcast.
And we're done. Thanks everyone for joining us.
I enjoyed it. It had some good action scenes and had a decent enough story. It was weaved in there. We had to get around it in some parts of it. It was heavy on exposition, so we got told a lot and not quite shown as much. But what we got was it was an okay film.
Yeah, I would agree. It was an okay film.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in and enjoy myself, and I did.
Yes.
That's
the key.
It was not the epitome of cinematic wonder,
Right.
but then I'm not going to
An MCU
Marvel
film.
for a new film expecting like
Yes.
Oppenheimer or Schindler's List or Casablanca.
Right.
That's not what these movies have ever been.
Exactly. If you go in with that mindset and know what you're going for, then you'll be able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
Imagine
exactly.
that.
Right. I really liked how they called back and tied up a lot of the loose ends from early phase one.
Yes.
With footage. By the way, spoilers. I shouldn't have to say this now, but shut up, spoilers.
You already know what in there too.
Bringing back footage from the Incredible Hulk and seeing that and the allusions to Blonsky and just how all of that went about, I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
One thing I did, you might have actually sent it to me yesterday, thing on TikTok that was like they slowly desaturated the red out of the entire film.
Yeah.
So when Red Hulk came, was the focal point,
Yes.
which I thought was a really cool.
That was a great
choice to do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But this movie starts with a kind of heisty things, not too dissimilar to Civil War.
Right.
Like an intro heist. And funny that Sam Wilson was kind of the point intro on Civil War as well. Where they introduced everyone kind of where they are, what they're doing, how Captain America is now agent of the U.S. government, but not U.S. agent. And coming in, stopping an immediate heist put on by Giancarlo Esposito. And you want to talk about someone who did not get enough film time.
Yes.
And
we all understand that all of his scenes were reshoots, and he came in at the end, and his whole role was a change from what the initial concept of the film was. So we all understand that. One thing that we do kind of know is that he should be returning in future.
Yeah, didn't see a dead body.
Well, he was arrested. Again, spoiler alert.
There's no official dead body, so no.
Yeah. So he'll be back for sure.
Yeah, I mean, every role he's in, he is terrifying and intelligent and well-spoken, and you do not want to be on the wrong end of his sword because he will use it on you and then go to tea with his daughter.
Yes.
Afterward. Just phenomenal.
He got to show off some of his action chops in there as well, with some fighting and some gunplay and things like that. Knife play.
Yes.
As well.
That was nice.
Yeah.
So after that kind of initial scene that we got. We also got introduced to the new Falcon. Is it Danny Ramirez? Is that his name? Something.
Real name? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Joaquin Torres.
yes. Where actor Danny Ramirez. Where we first saw him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
He came back. He was kind of the guy in the chair to open Spider-Man a little bit. He did some computer stuff that I won't go off on that tangent.
Refilm.
But yeah,
Zoom and enhance.
he refresh. IP config. But he came in and he actually got some good action as the Falcon, which I was kind of looking forward to because I thought in Falcon and the Winter Soldier they just kind of like left him blasé, and I was like,
Yeah.
the fuck?
He got the wings.
Yeah, like
Then,
what the fuck's going on?
You know, you kind of know that he is a tech guy and he can put things together,
Yeah.
which he did, and then went from there.
Yeah. Big thing coming in. At what point would you say it was like really obvious that everything came together in the movie? Because I was trying to think, like, if you didn't necessarily watch the previews for the movie or aren't like us and you're just, oh, another superhero movie, let me go and watch it. Even if you came into the MCU at essentially Iron Man 1, I would argue, but definitely like Avengers 1, Phase 2 coming in. Like you don't really know much about the villain here or kind of who it really was and who the antagonist is and how it fits in. So as like a casual MCU viewer, at what point do you think would have been the click of like, oh, like that's what they're doing and calling back and everything?
So again, one of the unfortunate parts of the movie was the intense exposition where we were told everything. So they went in and they dabbled it every now and then. They had the news reports and they had the this and the that.
Yeah.
And actually, when he showed up, he also did some, mustache twirling. Oh, this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and that type of thing. So I think it was for a what do they call them, casuals or normies, people who aren't necessarily super nerds and who haven't necessarily watched every MCU project. I think being told everything and being shown little snippets here and there, if you paid attention, it's always key. If you paid attention, then it would have been pretty easy to pick up. Some things were a little bit silly, like, President Ross saying, have you heard from my daughter, Betty? Betty,
Yeah.
who was Bruce Banner's girlfriend,
Yep.
who, I hunted him down. So she's been mad at me for 16 years. Like, you're kind of beating us over the head with it.
But again, I think that goes back to like the casual fan base where they might not have seen Norton's Hulk. Like because coming into the MCU, a lot of people, I would say, started with Iron Man and not necessarily Hulk, because that movie also...
Iron Man was first. Iron Man came a few months before. I get what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, like I just...
Because it wasn't MCU.
The two tones of the movie with like after credit scenes and stuff, like there was nothing cohesive, so they seemed very different. And when I think of Hulk, like that Hulk movie, I don't think MCU. I still don't. Because again, it was Edward Norton, and then the next time in the MCU, it's Mark Ruffalo. Like it seemed very disjointed as they were trying to find their footing. So I don't see that as part of this. So I think for the casual fans, you need it to be like, okay, so who's this girlfriend and why is she not talking to dad? Oh, because he was the Hulk hunter and he dated. Like, So for the people coming in and making that argument of I shouldn't have to watch 500 MCU movies and TV shows, well, now you don't. So shut up.
So there you go. You got your 30 seconds of talk.
Yeah.
Being told
Yeah.
why. But it's still, again, it's easy to put it together once you get all of that information. Again, paying attention.
And having that information and context.
Yes.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So the movie opens up with acceptance speech and victory speech.
Together.
Together. Together we will, again, make the MCU great again. I'm sorry. I'm not, but I'm sorry. And immediately after, we get in and we start bringing back the unsung hero, OG Captain America, Mr. Isaiah Bradley, who the second he's on screen is just fucking hilarious.
Yes.
So like, oh, who's this little Boy Scout bitch? Like, and it's just that gym scene of like the hardcore parkour shit and trying to get the flags was just exactly what I needed to bring him back in, because it was the training of how to be Captain America, not from Steve Rogers. It wasn't just a training session. It was training to be Captain America, what it meant to be Captain America, where Isaiah could in part redeem himself, be Captain America through Sam, but then Sam also having the mentor of Captain America that isn't Steve.
Right. And the good thing about showing that training just a little bit, you know, gives the film more credence to seeing where Sam is now with his fighting abilities. Because a lot of times when you see, okay, he's not superpowered, he didn't take any serum, all he has is his suit. How is he able to then go and fight and do all the things that he's doing in this film, and the things that he's done in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? How did that all come to be? And this training showed that.
Yes, exactly. And it wasn't a long training montage or anything. It was a quick in and out.
Right.
Got the phone call, got invited to the White House, and now shit starts to fall apart. I at first was thinking, because that song was playing, it was an immediate, I think, callback to the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
And Bucky's brainwashing. And I thought they were going to bring him in there to understand more, or even get like a Wakandan to show up for deprogramming or something like that. Because in theory, someone could play that song and they could all snap again. Like,
that makes sense. Yeah.
they haven't been like
deprogrammed, right?
Deprogrammed,
right?
So,
or at least that hasn't been explained, because as Bradley ran away, once he got, I guess, a certain distance from the White House is when he got his
mission.
Yeah,
for his mission failed type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that whole aspect of it, I'm still kind of iffy on, like the brainwashing and all of that stuff. I'll allow it because whatever, it's an MCU movie. Like, I'm not
it's a comic
watching
book
it.
film.
Yeah, I'm not. I can suspend belief for that.
Time travel.
Right. But let's watch out on what song brainwashes people.
Yeah.
Okay. But then after Isaiah, I love how he was so worried about his suit. Fun.
That was his only suit. The suit that he got married in. That's all he had.
Yeah, that was truly his.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want them to mess up his suit. Yeah. When they put him down on the ground. So.
I did really like that scene when they were in prison between Sam and Isaiah. You really got, it was short, but you got a lot of character development behind that came out from Isaiah's past, which then pushed and drove Sam even more
Yeah,
than he already
gotta help
was.
him out
Like
because
that was
he can't go back to jail
yeah.
because it's not going to end well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then starting at that point, Sam starts to work with Widow
Yes, probably the most controversial part of the film.
of the entire film
Of
from
the
the second she was announced. Because, oh, we're getting into some Israel Palestine stuff here.
Yeah.
And
If you know the character from the comics, this character only shares the name
yeah.
of the character that is from the comics. That's not a comic that I'm familiar with, or not a character, I should say, that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
So I didn't really understand what the issues were in the beginning. Of course, once you get more information, is that okay? This can be problematic. Um, do you think? Do you think Disney just well? Do we ever? Do you think Disney and Marvel should have perhaps just changed the character's name, and then it would have been an entirely different view on it?
I don't know. Again, like you, I haven't read her comics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the full background aside from she was originally an Israeli military soldier, and in this day and age, coming down on a stance is incredibly polarizing, regardless of what your stance is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they did that because the character's arc was head of security for the president in the comics, and that's why it made sense, or if they brought her in because of the current political climate. Having that bit of information, I feel like I could give a better answer on, because if it was just a political stunt, I think that was a really risky move,
Mm-hmm.
and all press is good press, but like, maybe with everything going on right now, now's not necessarily the time. If you wanted a widow, we don't know who all the widows were. You could have brought in a different rehabbed widow and named him a completely different thing. Said it was another widow who was deprogrammed from Natasha and Yelena. Like, there was a better way to do that.
Yeah.
But that being said, if that character was, and I say that character, I'm blanking on the name. I'm not trying.
Ruth Batsarath.
Yes, I just could not remember the name to save it out. I was trying to rack my brain. But like, if Ruth's character was in fact and had always been a member of the Secret Service, protecting the president, regardless of who the president was in her comic timeline, and it made sense with that background, sure, go for it. It made sense. But if you're bringing it to make a political statement as the mouse trying to make a statement, we could have done a little bit better on that.
And I think there were clear, again, reshoots and script changes, 5 writers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We understand.
He did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
I think her character was awesome. I think the actress did an incredible job.
For what we got from her. But I think it's pretty clear that there was a lot of cut scenes. I mean, clearly the one that's in the trailer where she's is not in the film. But like you said, yes, the actress did a fantastic job, even though she's, I don't know, 3 feet tall. She's a little, she's so cute little thing. But did a fantastic job. And, I'm actually interested to see, where.
I want to see more.
Right.
I would find like her and Falcon do like a Widow and Falcon team. Like, give me a Disney spin-off.
I like it.
Give me them doing some clandestine shit, and I'm fucking there. Like, let Sam go lead the new Avengers. Let him go off and do his thing as Captain America. Give me Widow and Falcon.
I like it.
That would be incredible.
I like it because it could be, Sam was always in love with Natasha anyway.
Yeah.
So you can kind of flip that and make those two
Yeah. And I think
a nice little couple.
I think one thing with Marvel is they have a lot of side characters who who should then get the Disney shows and then make that appearance in the bigger movies.
Yes.
And like we've seen like Cassie Lang, we've seen Haley Steinfeld,
Hawkeye.
oh my god.
Oh, we suck.
What's her name?
If you haven't figured it out by now.
We've seen her, like we've seen these newer, younger Avengers, Riri, like they should be. I think I would like to see them each have their own individual moments as before they get latched on necessarily to a big MCU project. And I think I would like to see that as like new Avengers, young Avengers intros as their shows, like what they did with Kamala Khan's character. She had her own show that was focused on her, and then we went into the Marvels. And I think that was a really well done thing versus if we got the Marvels and then Kamala Khan was somehow introduced kind of the way like Spider-Man was a little bit.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is a heavier hitter, so that made sense. But like in the middle of the movie happens to show up and their paths cross. We still don't really have a full origin of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We know the spider was radioactive. We know he got bit. We know the spider died. That's why Ned can't. Like, we got a little bit of that, but we don't have the Uncle Ben story in there, which I think would be great for more of these side characters. I want to see what Falcon's been doing since Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, because he'd been working with Sam, but there's no way he just up and left the military immediately like that. So see some missions, see him doing some iterations on the Falcon wings, building that back up, then see him and Ruth go off and chase down whatever's left of the brainwashed people or something like that to have their own adventure. And I think Marvel can do some original stuff right now.
Absolutely.
The universe is big enough now that they can start doing stuff with making original new iterations of, well, that never happened in the comics. Well, there's new iterations of comics every 10 to 15 years. Like, I remember when the new 52 came out, everyone was like, what the fuck is this? What are they doing with their suit? And then DC Animation came in and made Flashpoint, made Justice League War, which are arguably some of the greatest superhero films. They're just animated. Like, so I would like to see the MCU do something like that with more of these side characters. I think they're great characters. I think it was a great casting job for them.
They always knock it out of the park on casting. So yeah, it would be interesting. And Disney, Marvel, if you take that idea, please give credit where credit is due.
Well, we'll come work for you.
Yeah, easy peasy.
So now instead of pulling a Marvel and ignoring this for 4 years, let's talk about Tiamat Island.
Okay.
So Eternals ended with Tiamat's face and hand coming out of the water in the Pacific.
It was Indian Ocean.
That too.
Yeah.
That was at least the general right side of the world.
Yeah, it's over.
I didn't say the Atlantic. Shut up. I will admit I had my where the fuck is this? How has nobody said anything?
And I'm the other guy.
Yeah. Just for that. It'll be fun.
Yeah. We don't talk about everything that happens in the world.
Yeah.
Either. So
I mean, true. Like in reality, it's like, oh my god, this is hitting the headlines, big thing, and now we're done with it. Like week after the LA fires, when they were still raging, people stopped talking about it. when Texas froze and the entire infrastructure blew up because they couldn't deal with cold because of a freak cold snap that came through. 3 days and nothing. Like, let's be real, guys. But now we have adamantium.
We do.
What will be interesting is how they build the lore around that. Because what we have from X-Men is it has to be kept in liquid form because then it's indestructible.
Right.
But Tiamat is solid now.
So they mine, my thoughts, they mine, heat it up, and then that's how it gets into liquid form, which was apparently in the canister that,
That's like a rock, like a refined rock.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah.
MacGuffin of the film. If you look closely, it did have a temperature gauge on the front. So we are to guesstimate that was it in the liquid form. What would be interesting to see going forward is the coalition of the United States, Japan, France, and what was the last one?
Was it the UK? India?
India, I think it is India.
That makes sense because
it's in the Indian Ocean, so that would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think it was India.
So that coalition, how's that going to play into going forward
with the geopolitics of the MCU?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I don't know if we're going to get some other iteration of like the Sokovia Accords called the Adamantium Treaty or something. One thing I wish they did, because I think it just would have been chef's kiss, is one of the military generals on the ship, on one of the ships in the
the big battle,
second to last battle, final battle, whatever, if his name tag said Stryker. I think that would have been awesome. Like, he doesn't even have to have lines, but if that's that, then yeah, he in the aftermath, he then steals adamantium and then brings in 616's Wolverine.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a subtle nod. It would have been you had to have seen the X-Men and paid attention to what was going on, remember the callback, and then subtly introduce through there. But that's just my personal take.
That's your thoughts? It's not a bad thought, right? Yeah, at this point, I don't think any thoughts are off the table at this point.
Yeah, agreed. That battleship scene, I'm calling it, that had some nice action.
That was chef's kiss. That was really good. The aerial battle.
They did a really good job filming that.
Flying around.
The choreography, the CGI on that was really good too.
Yes.
Yeah, just no notes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I was sitting there with a shit-eating grin on my face. No notes.
So it's funny that you mentioned that the CGI for that particular battle was great. But then we get to the final battle.
Yeah.
And that was less than stellar. If we're being nice.
Not the worst we've seen.
No, definitely not the worst.
But
it was great. It was rough. Let's just say.
Like the one part of it they should have nailed were the cherry blossoms.
Yeah. And it was
like the one part where the physical cherry blossoms they should have nailed, because go to DC and fucking film it. But it was
odd. It was odd that you could tell it was a green screen or in the volume or wherever when they got to that last part. Even on the one instance when Sam was under some rubble, and the rubble even looked
cheesy. Yeah, it was
like the road was like 20 inches thick.
Okay.
Civil engineering. Chemistry, civil engineering. That was just
Yeah, now you know how I feel. People are like, well, let me hack into the mainframe.
action with two.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, now you know how it feels.
Get that camera off. Okay, you got 20 seconds. Loop the camera.
Uh-huh. None of that works like that at all.
Oh
But
man.
I agree that that last part, once they got into like the cherry blossom garden, it was hard to watch and
Yeah.
kind of took me back out of the film
Yes.
a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
And that last impression can kind of see how the ratings and how people feel about the film,
yes.
because that was the last
Well, it's
battle, the last real impression you got, and it's like
it's the Sam. Did you ever watch that movie Moneyball with was it
yes,
Brad Pitt?
yes, Brad Pitt and
Based on the
Oakland A's.
Oakland A's series. It's like the saying in that is you could have a perfect season, but the only thing the fans are going to remember is that last game. The only thing fans are going to remember of this movie is that last fight
That
scene.
last battle. Yep.
Endgame, Iron Man, Marvels, Avengers 1, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like that last fight scene with the helicarriers and Bucky and all, like that's what part of really what made that movie so phenomenal. And
Mhm.
this definitely did not help them.
Not at all. Not at all.
Um, yeah,
It was rough.
yeah.
It was rough.
But after that, when he got parted away and brought to the raft, we saw the raft again,
Mhm.
which I'm really wondering if they're going to do anything with that with the Fantastic Four, because originally Tony and Reed made the raft, which was a prison in a like dimension between dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that might come back once the Fantastic Four comes in, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
For later.
Yeah, I think most of the MCU likes to ground itself in reality. So I'm thinking that this particular raft is
Which I do kind of appreciate.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because if it got too fantastical, then
God
we'll
forbid.
get even more hate than it already does.
Yeah. But the second shortest presidency, right after William Henry Harrison, who got pneumonia and died in a month, Ross was like, what, 5, 6 months?
Yes, because this all
The
started.
cherry
with
blossoms
one-
were in the
100.
spring,
Yeah.
and we had the speech.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like 5 months later,
Yeah. Yeah.
he resigned and then committed himself to the raft.
Interesting.
And we got Arwen. I mean, Liv Tyler back. I was
For I don't know, a minute.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I wanted more. I love Liv Tyler as an
Yeah.
actress.
And again, I think in the trailers we saw her at a funeral scene,
Mhm.
which was not a part of the movie. Spoiler alert again. But
But I also didn't think. Part of me is wondering about that specifically. Of if she was in it more, would this have been less of a Captain America movie and more of an Incredible Hulk movie? Because there's a lot of that going around now of was this Captain America or was this Hulk 2? And so I
get that.
worry that if Liv Tyler were in it and we didn't see Bruce Banner Ruffalo Norton, that would have caused a lot of friction because her whole line and being against her dad was because of Bruce. So if we saw her more and no Bruce, I think that would have been a forced screen time. So I'm almost, as much as I want to see more of Liv Tyler in stuff, I don't think it would have served the movie well, especially going to the argument of this is a Captain America movie, not Incredible Hulk 2.
I can dig that. I think, and of course,
As much as we try to.
as much as we yeah. I think again there was more to it that was cut, and I think the whole raft situation with him being there, Ross being there, and her coming to see him. I think all of that was a part of the reshoots and a part of the redevelopment. As we know, just from life, nobody goes straight from being arrested straight into the final destination. So at no point in between the part when from the
he clear time had passed. He got medical attention.
Because I mean, they were fucking fighting.
Got his fucking bell rung and like stabbed, and vibranium exploded.
Yeah. So that whole scene was kind of wonky.
Yeah.
Which, again, and that was after that final battle. So that's just more bad taste in your mouth.
But
what happened here?
Again, that was also remnant of Captain America's Civil War, where they had the final battle in the North with Bucky, and you got the quintessential Civil War comic scene between the Shield and Iron Man doing his thing, and Bucky doing his thing after the airport scene. And then the next time you see Scott and Clint and Wanda, they are suddenly in prison. So it had very similar flow, all in all, to Civil War. Like I almost want to rewatch Civil War and then watch this one again and look at the timing and the pacing, because I do think it was more similar. Than
let's do it.
than people realize. And I don't know if people are like comparing that actually, but I'm thinking now back to watching Civil War, how that movie started, how this movie started, how the next and then back and forth and going like that. But it still tried to lean too much into Winter Soldier, bringing back the mysterious thing that everyone thought was dead and gone, Hydra, but not, and coming back and kind of destroying the U.S. government and the White House. Like, I think it tried to take Civil War and Winter Soldier, push them together and go. And I don't know if it did a good job of that, or if they should have just done, we're going to remake Civil War, or we're going to remake Winter Soldier.
And then also be a sequel to Hulk and Eternals.
Yeah.
And Falcon and Winter Soldier.
This movie had a lot of heavy lifting to do.
It did. And I also feel like...
And also set up the continued future of everything.
Right.
Because we still have remnants of Strange. We have Fantastic Four coming in with Galactus, which bringing us back to like the celestial realm of stuff.
And you didn't even mention Thunderbolts, which is the next project that's coming, right?
This was a heavy lifter movie.
Yes. And you all know how I'm not a big fan of phase this, phase that, so forth and so on. I don't even know where this one would fit. Is it phase 5? Is it phase 6? But I think it should be no phase. It's just its own little transition thing.
I think humans need structure like that. So if I was going to put it in a phase, I would say this is the start of phase 6.
Okay.
Because we had the phase 1 of building, phase 2 of cohesion, phase 3 of tensions, phase 4 of final war and reconciliation, phase 5 of grief, phase 6 of rebuilding. And this is what's launching. It's tying up loose ends from Hulk, Eternals, from all of the other phases, and then allowing us to propel into building out the full multiversal saga. and
note that this had no multiverse stuff in it.
Correct.
Which is
except
good.
for the end when it was
Post-credit
like,
scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what Marvel does. Like without having it in there, like the first time we saw Thanos had very little to do with the actual movie, and then there's the like Loki fails and it's I'll do it myself, and he grabs the Infinity Gauntlet, and now you know where that's going. We know that this is going to Avengers Doomsday and the other one,
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars. So like we have that pushing forward, and then we have elements from Deadpool that have come in with going through all the multiversal stuff as well. And I think this needed to tie up and then have that one Easter egg, because now we are meeting our new heroes. We're meeting the heroes who are going to have to deal with this shit, as well as the Thunderbolts coming in a few months, who are going to be the primary drivers with that from the 616 universe. We don't have Steve, we don't have Clint, we don't have Natasha. Fuck if Thor's ever gonna come back.
He ain't got time for that. He's out there saving the galaxy with love.
And Thunder. We still have Carol Danvers.
Off-world.
Off-world. But then we have all the young adventures. We have Avengers. We have Cassie. We have Kamala. We have Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop.
Thank you. And we're seeing them come back to build up and face this, and then maybe someone like Reed is going to come in and be like, "All right, guys, we got to get our shit together." And I'm hoping we get Franklin. Just give me fucking Franklin.
Well, we did not get a chance to talk about that trailer, which we should.
Yeah, we need to do a deep dive on that.
Some interesting edits.
Yeah,
big time. But
yeah, we got the Prego walk without being Prego
for sure.
Yeah.
We didn't talk much about the big bad, Samuel Stearns. Now,
we hit a little bit on it.
A little bit. But one thing I wanted to ask, did anyone, including himself, ever refer to him as the leader? Did you hear it? Because I did not.
I'm going to say no, but our track record for remembering names and titles this episode is not great.
The only thing he ever referred to himself as is the hero. And that's when he was talking to the other Sam and Sam, right? The other Sam at the White House. They weren't at the White House, they were at somewhere in DC.
Yeah.
Before he played the thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that a lot of, again, the negative about the film. Well, first they talked about the way he looked, because it's definitely different than.
It's different than the comics, so it's all wrong and terrible.
It's different than the comics, different than the Funko. If you lighten up one of the trailers when he was in the shadows, it looks a little bit different. That whole thing. But they keep going into how that's not the leader that we know. This leader does this, the leader does that. He was never referred to as the leader. So just think about that. Just think about it.
Sharon Carter's also the leader.
Yeah. Why wasn't she in the film? She could have been the head of security.
Wasn't she like back on the run? I know she was acquitted at the end.
She was acquitted, and then she got on the phone and said, "Hey,
we're now in prime position to do whatever the hell
to get some weapons."
Yeah, she's taking a vow.
No one knows who she was talking to, but that would be the best idea. You just can't. Oh shit! Hey, we need to end this because now we're getting into a whole other thing.
We got to do a conspiracy theory episode. But alrighty, yeah, we do need to end this because we are 44 minutes in and my computer's about to die. So Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's been a while. Our schedules have just been absolutely batshit insane, so we do apologize. Um, but let us know what you guys thought of the movie, good, bad, and everything in between.
Yeah.
How many, what, Red Hulks or Shields do we want to go with?
Out of what? Either
10.
one. Out of 10. You do the Red Hawks, I'll do the Shields. How about that?
Perfect. I would give this like 6.5 to 7 Red Hulks out of 10. I think that will change and go up as this phase 6, not phase 6, continues, and we see just how much the subtleties of this film set up the rest of it.
I agree. And I am right there with you, 6.5 to 7 Shields. And I agree that oftentimes we just don't give things enough time
To marinate.
to settle and to think on it. You see so many people with that. Here's my out of the theater review of something you just saw 2 seconds ago. Relax.
Now, it's been a couple days since we've seen it, but there's still stuff to
Smell
digest.
it, feel it, understand it, chat with someone. Hey, he caught some things that I didn't see. Maybe I caught something that he didn't see. Who knows? None of us saw the leader being called the leader.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Let us know if there's anything you want to see us review. I know we have a massive backlog of ish we got to go over.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully try to get some rapid fire episodes out soon. But until next time, deuces.